with that, it's an honor and a privilege, as I say before, to be able to bring and to be able to stand here and now with David Pickus, who put his new slate together, and have the future with all of us in this room, because we all just got elected. So we got elected for a reason, a purpose, and that David and his team will take the union into the future with all the stuff that faces us. And I'm sure he'll talk about a big one, that we have about 800 of our members that right now the boss decide 6 nursing home that he's gonna kill us. But I have faith in the members. We're gonna kill him. So with that said, my dear brother, David, who's been around for 30 odd years, who helped build this union, Dave Pickus.
Thank you, Carmen. Sisters and brothers, I had prepared some remarks. Carmen said them all, so as soon as the food's ready, we'll get started to eat. I've been following Carmen for a long time, and it's that's right, as I should, and it's been an absolute pleasure. She's coming up to a hard-earned retirement. She's not going to disappear. The fight and the embodiment of her work in our union never goes away. It continues. Where there's a fight, she'll be there. I'm confident of that, and I think everybody else is confident of that. So I have 2 things, actually, that I have to do. The first is, in accordance with our bylaws, our staff gets paid based upon what the Executive Board and the Delegates Assembly say they get paid. And we have had a history where the largest contract, which is the state of Connecticut contract, is one that we deal with our general wage increases in accordance with. So 2 years ago, in 2009, when we settled the contract, we had voted on, as this body, had voted on what those rates would be going forward. And in the agreement that we got with the state for the 4 years of job security and actually a 5-year contract extension, it changed to a 0% in 2011, 0 in 2012, and then 3% in 2013, 3 in 14, and 3 in 15. So the Executive Board has already voted to ratify that as the wage increases for our budgetary purposes, et cetera, going forward. It has to be brought to this body, and so I am bringing that to this body, and I'd like a motion in that for that. For that, thank you. Is there a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Any abstentions? And that continues the history that we've been dealing with. I'm sure that we have nursing home members that got no wage increases. We have state workers that received no wage increases. It's an extremely important thing in our union that we don't detach compensation from where our members are at. It's been a principle in this union since its founding, and I'm very happy to see that we are continuing that. And seriously, Carmen basically said everything I was going to say. And you got one more thing to say? I can go first? Thank you. I want to, and I think that it's illustrative that the great thing about that it is quite similar is because of the traditions and the history of our union and where we come from. And where we come from is a union that comes out of struggle, that there's a firm belief, as you've seen on the thing, that without struggle there can be no progress. It's been the motto of this union since before I got here and before Carmen did, actually. And You've read the quote. It's an important one. We believe in certain things called, like in unity there is strength. That individually we don't have any power, but together we can move mountains. These are not just words, it's what we believe in. And going forward, the things that I want to take a look at are a few different things. We had a great day yesterday in the repudiation of the anti-union garbage in Ohio. By the way, our sister local 1199 in Ohio spent almost all of its money, all of its staff resources and everything else fighting that along with other unions. And when I say along with other unions and other allies, it's because none of us can do it alone. And I'll deal with some of that a little bit further, but we've never been able to do it alone, but now it gets a little more difficult. Times are very challenging, and for those of you who've been around a long time, they've always been challenging. They've just gotten worse lately. The 24/7 anti-union attack, whether it's from Fox News or somebody else that says that they're an independent organization when it really turns out that they're funded by like right-wing forces like the Koch brothers, whose goal is just to take all the money, okay? Every penny. And when organizations like that are bombarding us all the time, it has an effect. Let's not kid ourselves. We have high unemployment. That also has an effect. It frankly leads to sometimes workers fighting with workers. It leads to people being able to exploit questions of immigration when all of us come from immigrants. Some voluntary, some not so voluntary, all right? And that's what this country is about. And to turn inward like that as the excuse of, well, people want to take our jobs or whatever, fear is a very powerful thing, and it can be very ugly. When we get together, we can overcome that fear. The right wing, I think, is very important, gets very upset when we call them out. They say that we're engaging in class war. Well, you know, I've always felt that there's been a class war going on. We just sometimes don't know it. And we got our hands tied behind our back as we get pummeled. They say we shouldn't say things that are divisive. Divisive. How about I should have a decent living? How about my kid should be able to go to college? How about my elderly parents should be able to get care? How about I should be able to have a roof over my head and have electricity and not these crazy blackouts? The one thing that's real clear is that there are sides in this country. There are sides in this world. Some people get very uncomfortable about that. Sorry, okay? It took a bunch of kids in New York that said they were occupying Wall Street to make it clear there's 99% and there's 1%. Right. Folks, we're not part of the 1%, okay? And if you take a look at the income disparity as to how it's increased, it is phenomenal. It has never occurred like that in the history of this country. That's something. That shows that this, quote, free market economy that we have is totally out of control. It's got to be controlled because otherwise people can't live. They can't make progress. They can't stay middle class or be middle class. And the attacks on workers by this whole group that takes place continues and continues, and they want us to fight with each other. So what do? They get these clowns in Congress, okay? Particularly the Republicans. Some of the Democrats aren't so good either, but particularly the Republicans, to talk about how we have to lower the tax rates. We got to lower the tax rates on the rich. We got to take away Medicare for the elderly. We got to take away Social Security for retirees. Why? Because then they'll create jobs. 10 years under George Bush, they didn't create jobs, and they just kept getting more and more money. They're sitting on $12 trillion. They could invest in jobs, except there's a truth that they don't want to tell us. It's a very simple truth. If people don't have money, they can't buy stuff. High unemployment means we don't have money. Cutting off unemployment for people who don't have jobs means we don't have money. That's a big problem, okay? Having a union allows us to say that we're not going to just buy the nonsense that the boss says so that he can make more money. Carmen alluded to Healthbridge. What the Healthbridge Corporation wants to do with their 6 nursing homes is to cut the standards of living of workers so that they have to move out of their house, lose their cars, stop getting health insurance, and it's just incredible. And if that was something that we were to agree to, it would destroy our union. And I'm not overstating it. I am not overstating it. It is a fight that is going to take place. It is a fight we're going to have. It is a fight that we're going to win. Okay? The rich should pay their fair share. Large corporations that don't pay any taxes should pay their fair share. They benefit in this society. Okay? Am I right? Or am I crazy? Okay. That's right. That's right. And we all pay for it, and that's what a society is about. And they got to pay for it, just like we got to pay for it. But so what do we do? You know, it paints a particular picture that could be pretty ugly, and we could say, well, all right, I'm going to go sit in the corner, put my thumb in my mouth, and rock until this is all over. I don't think that's going to get us where we got to go, though. So we have to engage in militant action to protect and advance our standards and those we serve. We have to engage in political action, and I don't just mean elections. I mean issues, whether it's the fair economy thing that we did in Connecticut, the coalition work that we do in Rhode Island. It's about getting together with allies so that we can articulate a different perspective than what these corporatists are articulating, so that we can say, wait a minute, pensions and health benefits did not cause this problem, did they? No. So why should we get rid of them when you're not paying your fair share? So it's stuff that we have to be involved in, and we have to organize. What we have found is that when we organize, bosses deal with us better. We're able to accomplish things better. Okay? If you take a look at certain points when we got our best contracts, it was when we were involved in organizing things. We have people from Madison House here, right? The Madison House workers work for the Sun Nursing Home chain. They own about 300 nursing homes around the state. They got a contract in about 2.5 months because of the work of the other Sun facilities, and we had organized 3 other nurse units in 3 of the other facilities over the last 2 years since the last negotiations. Because prior to that, when we negotiated a contract at a place called Governor's House, it took us 3 years. 3 years, which was a tremendous amount of time. At Bloomfield Convalescent, we organized that place 4 different times. Literally, over the last 25 years, 4 different times. But, you know, frankly, because of the fact that we had a strike at Spectrum, there are bosses that say, I don't want to go through that. Not every boss, but there are bosses that say, I don't want to go through that. If the boss thinks he can get away with taking stuff from you, our experience is he will. Okay? We have to ensure our fairness. It doesn't get ensured for us. We had a delegates conference in 2009 where we talked about very strongly building greater member participation, because we had to use our resources to drill down, get more members involved in the day-to-day activities of the union. We had to have more members involved politically. We have to have more members involved organizationally. Organizationally means going out and organizing other workers. Well, it was true then. It's become even more true now because of what's taking place. Think about it. We just negotiated with the CBAC agreement for the state of Connecticut. We just negotiated the best concession agreement anywhere in the country. 4 years of job security. People didn't have to take steps backward. If you take a look at what's going on in anywhere else in the country, it's a phenomenal disaster. Okay? In Rhode Island at Women and Infants, they're trying to come after us cutely, okay, to be able to justify layoffs. We're going to have to fight that. In The nursing homes, we've been able to negotiate contracts, but not the way we'd like. In our community programs, there's been no funding for a very long time. So the state is trying to save money, sadly, on the backs of our members. We have to fight that. We have to be stronger. We have to be with allies. We have to be with community groups. We have to be with other unions in ways that, frankly, we have not done, because we do this stuff better than anybody else. Okay? We fight better than anybody else. We engage in fights against social injustice, okay, better than anybody else. We believe that it's because of the unity of our members. It's not about paying somebody to handle a problem. It's about we are strong if we stick together, and we have nothing if we don't. That's been the foundation of 1199. It continues to be the foundation of 1199. But the times now make us have to fight it harder. I think that we're up to that challenge. Right. How about you? Yeah. So I think on two things. We have people here who are PCAs here from that we're organizing in home care. Okay? I just want to say, what the state would like to do in a certain sense is, as they move people out of nursing homes or not even put them in the first place, and expand the PCA program for the elderly and for disabled, and also the DDS, Department of Developmental Disabilities program. What they'd like to do is to be able to cut standards and wages, because then they save a lot of money, okay? The problem is it has a phenomenal turnover. People can't support their families. You know the drill. It's a terrible thing. To try to organize those workers in the middle of January, we're going to take our whole staff, so some of you will be talked to about helping out on the different problems at work, on your labor management meetings and on grievances, because the whole staff is going to be out talking to home care workers for 2 weeks so that we can get enough cards to file for an election and win that, okay? I think that in closing, the politics thing that Carmen mentioned, I want to stress, because I understand very clearly that there are people who say to us, you told me to vote for Malloy, and look what he did. He stuck it to me. You told me to vote for Obama, and what's he done? You told me to vote for this one, what'd they do? Well, I think I want to share a perspective that many of us in this room hold, and that has been held by all the officers of this union for a very long time. When we elect politicians, we take a look and see who do we think we can push to do the best for us. We don't expect to elect them and sit on our behinds and wait for them to do for us. Right. We have to make them better. We have to push them. If we are not better, we can't do it, so we have to get better. So whether it's Malloy or Obama or Chafee, we didn't expect that much from Chafee in the first place. But whether it's any of those people, whether it's the legislature, whether it's a commissioner, doesn't matter. We have to push, and as Carmen said, if we had elected the other guys, we'd be dead. Simple, dead, okay? So, but we can't take our marbles and go home. We can't opt out of the game, okay? We have to be in the game. We have to talk to our members about it. We have to be real clear about it. Because if we're not in the game, we lose. If we're in the game, we fight, we stand a chance to win, and I'm betting on us. Are you with us? Yeah. Everybody with us? We have a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work ahead of us, right? The fun starts a while ago. It continues now. And let's get to it. So before we eat, thank you very much. Carmen has something else to say.
I do.